team still must be built and assembled with care. A young catcher peaks and plays. An acquired role player reveals skills that must have been seen in Yankee homework. A switch-hitting veteran who knows his role, and so on and so on. An expensive luxury for certain, but these Yankees come to Chicago hoping to exploit a team gone wrong and gone bad. Is Chicago's Southside Baseball Address, and it's where we come to you live tonight, Comiskey Park in Chicago. It's the Yankees and the White Sox in the first of three. The Yankees will send Hideki Irabu and his glossy ERA to the mound. Jaime Navarro wishes he had his numbers at 4-4 with an ERA of 5.43. Beautiful spring evening just off the lake, and we're happy you could be with us in this culmination of your Memorial Day weekend. Good evening, everybody. I'm Al Troutwig. How did the Yankees do it? They beat you in virtually every way. This weekend, they lost their most important RBI man, Tino Martinez, for 2 games, and they still win, putting up unbelievable football-like results in back-to-back games over the Red Sox. How did they do it? Other players have to step up and be like they've never been. Chuck Knobloch, a grand slam on Saturday here and a 3-run home run yesterday. Knobloch, before hitting a grand slam here and the 3-run shot, had hit only 1 home run in his career with more than 1 runner on base. That was a grand slam for the Twins in 1996. And he had driven in 4 runs in a game only 3 times in his career before doing it in each of the games on Saturday and Sunday. That's how deep, that's how good, that's how successful this New York Yankee team has been. Knobloch over the weekend 3 for 10 with 2 home runs and 8 runs driven in. He's got 8 hits in his last 19 at-bats, and told me earlier in the New York City Marriott Yankees scorecard pregame show that he just feels it's the culmination of a lot of hard work. He's starting to feel comfortable finally for the first time this season. For more on tonight's game, let's go upstairs. Jim Cott and Ken Singleton are standing by.
All right, Al, thanks a lot. Any manager will tell you it's the guy you send to the mound that's the most important player to win a ball game, starting pitching. But if that fails once in a while, it doesn't hurt to have a little offense, and the Yankees have the best in the league.
They really turned it on yesterday in Boston against the Red Sox, and it was up and down the lineup with their production. And first of all, let's start with Tim Raines. This came in the 3rd inning. The Yankees scored 7 times off the Red Sox, and Brett Saberhagen to knock him out of the ball game. Raines comes up with a base hit that scored Derek Jeter. Jeter later on in the inning had a base hit, drove in a couple of runs. Jeter had 3 hits. His average is well up over 300. And another hitter who really has been hot lately is Scott Brosius. This was the capper, the Yankees' 14th run of the ball game, his 3rd home run of the year. Scott Brosius is now 2nd in the National League in hitting.
And these numbers will fly at you like balls were flying out of Fenway Park. The last week, what the Yankee production was against the Orioles, against the Red Sox, they averaged 10 runs a game on the season. 2nd in batting average, the best on-base percentage. It goes on and on. But as we mentioned, any manager will say, even when you're facing a team like the White Sox that are struggling, it's that guy that goes to the mound, and the Yankees, again, have one of the best in the league.
Hideki Irabu, if he can go 5 1/3 innings tonight, he will qualify for the league lead in ERA. And I think one thing that the American League is finding out, he's becoming more and more of a pitcher. Now, this splitter, very tough to B.J. Surhoff in his last start, but I really don't think Hideki had his best stuff, was still able to win the ball game. Here's a pitch that was non-existent last year. An off-speed breaking ball into Rafael Palmeiro. That deserves a second look. And you can see the reaction of Palmeiro, something that he certainly didn't expect. The American League is starting to find out Hideki is becoming a good pitcher.
And by adding that curveball, he's a perfect 3-0. The league hitting just $130. He's only allowed 2 home runs, almost a strikeout an inning. In this Chicago lineup, no one in the lineup has seen Hideki Irabu before. The first of 3 here on Chicago's South Side, and we'll have it for you when we come back on MSG.
Today, a breath of fresh air blew into the NBA when a 19-year-old kid made his debut and stole the show.
He was different. He played with such emotion.
It's very simple. He had eyes in the back of his head.
Before he played, you could get seats.
That's why they call him what they do.
The great thing about life is you never know what you might want to do next. With the American Express card, it can be anything you like.
The guy at the dealership said it has one of the most technically advanced automatic four-wheel drive systems in the world. Now, where I live, it doesn't rain too often, and it snows like never. But should something really weird happen and my neighborhood gets covered with ice, you'll want to be driving with me.
Lease the Infiniti QX4 for $499 a month for 39 months with an initial payment of $1449. With Snapple's new Win Nothing Instantly game, the desire to win nothing is starting to catch on.
That's it, number 7. Stay back there, number 7. Way to lose, baby!
With over 1 million prizes of nothing like no rent and no phone bill hiding under Snapple caps, you'll never look at winning nothing the same way again.
The best stuff is in here.
That's 30-year-old Jaime Navarro, and those numbers not impressive. He's not the pitcher he was a few years ago with the Milwaukee Brewers. Sharp slider, good forkball. Boy, left-handers particularly tough on him. More than a hit per inning, and not a good walk-strikeout ratio. The first pitch to Knobloch is in for a strike. Chuck, coming off that dynamite series in Fenway Park, now has 4 home runs and 18 RBIs. Low for a ball, 1-1.
Kitty, you mentioned Navarro and the way he has struggled the last couple of years with the White Sox. It makes you wonder if he's lost a little velocity on the fastball.
Yeah, he's been very durable. He'll give you 200 innings a year. Fouls that straight back 1 and 2. But when you see the years he had in Milwaukee, and they didn't have that strong a ball club, 17 and 11, 16 wins, he has not pitched back to that since the strike in '94. Last year, 9 and 14. Outside, and you made a good point, Kenny, with the 6 o'clock start Central Standard Time. It's a little difficult to pick up the ball right now for the hitter. This is pitcher's time of the evening.
Well, the lights really haven't taken effect. You can see the shadow that crosses the outfield. Makes it even more difficult.
Ooh, pretty good breaking ball there, and that is a ball, says Tim Cheatham. It's a full count to Knobloch.
Navarro gave up the most hits in the American League last year.
Fouled at the plate, and the count is still full.
Slider. Kitty mentioned he's durable. Hitters, lefties rule against him. They hit .321 against him last year. And a league average, both lefties and righties this year, is .299 against Jaime Navarro.
And that can be a problem against this Yankee lineup. When you look at O'Neill, Bernie Williams, Strawberry, Posada, Swaim down at the bottom, even without Tino Martinez. And Knobloch puts a tough at bat on Navarro and draws a leadoff walk. Here's the rest of the Yankee lineup. You'll notice Tino Martinez is missing from it. It'll be Derek Jeter, then Paul O'Neill and Bernie Williams. Darryl Strawberry, the DH. Jorge Posada. Bottom third is Chad Curtis, Scott Brocious, and Dale Swaim.
In the field for the Chicago White Sox, you'll notice the infield of Ventura, Caruso, Durham, and Cordero. Bell, Cameron, and Ordonez in the outfield. O'Brien doing the catching. And there's a look at the rookie shortstop, Mike Caruso, who thus far this year has made 9 errors. It's a learning process for him.
Strike 1 to Jeter. Mike Caruso at age 20 is the youngest position player to start for the White Sox since Johnny Callison back in 1959. Born in Queens, and they acquired Caruso, the White Sox did, in that blockbuster trade last year when Wilson Alvarez, Roberto Hernandez went to the Giants. In fact, Benji Gill was slated to be their regular shortstop, and Caruso beat him out in spring training.
Here's a situation right away for the Yankees with Knobloch at first, and Jeter has had a hot bat lately.
Slide step, and the pitch is low. Navarro finding out right away that this Yankee lineup is not going to make many offers at borderline pitches early in the count.
There has not been a runner caught stealing with Navarro on the mound this year. 14 stolen bases with him pitching.
Fouled out of play, and it's 1-2 to Jeter.
That's the most of any pitcher in the league. So the Yankee speed could come into play in tonight's ball game, and fairly early with Knobloch on first base.
Yankees are second in the league. They have stolen 55 bases. They're second to the Toronto Blue Jays. Joe Torre is, not that he's slowed his team down, but the situations have not dictated stealing bases as much in the last few weeks as they did the early part of the season. Low, and it's 2-2.
I think what Joe has seen, teams starting to hit a few more home runs. And early in the year they were down in the pack in home runs in the American League. They have climbed up quite a bit. So there's, what do they say, there's more than one way to skin a cat?
I said to Joe Torre before the game, as you see him sitting comfortably on the dugout, Knobloch on the run, and perfectly executed hit and run. Jeter pokes it through the hole. And the Yankees have runners at the corners with nobody out here in the first inning. What a job by Jeter.
Well, I'm not so sure the hit and run was on. It was just a situation where Knobloch's taking off and trying to steal. Jeter waits. He sees the second baseman Durham go over to cover. A good pitch for him down and away to go the other way. And the Yankees off and running here in the first inning. Knobloch takes the look. There's the ball going into right center field, and they're in business right away.
Yeah, you're right. That wouldn't necessarily be a hit and run with two strikes. It was just a case where Derek hit the ball through the hole with Knobloch on the run. Here's O'Neill. And all you need to know about why Paul O'Neill is such a good hitter. Before the game today, underneath the White Sox dugout in the batting cage, with the average even at 305, frustrated about how he's getting beat lately on inside pitches. Lofts that into left center field. They're not going to catch it. Knobloch will score easily. Jeter got a good jump, and Willie Randolph will wave him home. The throw is coming home, but it'll be late, and the Yankees lead it 2-0.
Just like that, Jerry Manuel sees 3 hitters and 2 runs on the boards for the Yankees. Willie Randolph is known to be a very aggressive third base coach, but it helps to have speed on the bases like Knobloch and Jeter. It can make you look awfully good because they turn into an extra gear when they round third and head for home. So O'Neill, first of all, with the extra base hit, the double pitch right in the middle of the plate. It should have been hit hard. Goes to the gap in left center field. Remember, Jeter's on first base. His ball does not get to the wall. Albert Bell picks it up before the warning track, and still Jeter scores from first on the double, and the Yankees lead 2-0.
Now 32 RBIs for O'Neill, and here's Bernie Williams. That's in for a strike. Mentioned a couple hitters ago, but the Yankees getting hit so fast didn't get a chance to develop. But Joe Torre's similarity to Larry Bird. I said, you remind me of Larry Bird. No matter what happens, you just sit very comfortably on the bench, because Joe knows with great players, the players that will do what he did on the field, he kind of puts himself in their shoes, and he knows there's no amount of jumping up and down on the dugout that he can do that'll help them.
Reggie Miller beat the Bulls today with a shot in the last few seconds. And Larry Bird just as calm as ever.
Yeah.
I think Larry and Joe are thinking, I've done that myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like they've done it before, and it doesn't surprise them. 0-2 to Bernie. And you're getting an idea on the O'Neill double now how Navarro has struggled with left-hand hitters.
Well, every fastball that he's thrown has been near the middle of the plate in this inning. And whether it's hard to see or not, hitters are going to hit that.
Beautiful evening on the south side. Al Troutwig mentioned the White Sox address. 88 years this has been their address for baseball on the south side at 35th and Shields.
It used to be across the street,
right.
Though. Yeah.
Checked on a borderline pitch, and again, good discipline by a Yankee hitter. There's a lot of hitters will chase that pitch with the count 1-2. Bernie laid off, and it's even. There's the White Sox new pitching coach, ex-Yankee coach Nardi Contreras.
33 walks for Bernie Williams, among the league leaders.
Toward the left side, Caruso with a backhand throw, but knows he can't get Bernie Williams. And the Yankees have 4 hits in the inning with nobody out.
Well, Caruso showing some pretty good range on the backhand, but made the smart play by holding on to the ball. Bernie was hightailing it down the first base line, smelled that infield hit. That's Bernie. Now watch him like he's breaking the tape right at the end of this. Yep, he's in there.
Smelled that infield hit. And now giving up 4 hits to the first 4 hitters. They're facing a guy who has been as powerful against the White Sox as any hitter in the league, Darryl Strawberry. When you look at his production numbers during his brief time in the American League. That's on the edge, and again Navarro moves ahead of a hitter. 0-2.
Jerry Manuel last year was the bench coach for Jimmy Leland on the world champion Florida Marlins. Prior to that, for 5 years, he was the third base coach for the Montreal Expos under Felipe Alou. 2 pretty good managers to work under.
O'Neill and Bernie Williams, the base runners. Waste that outside. There's what left-handers have done against Navarro compared to right-handers. Ooh, White Sox had a pickoff play. Yankee runners were on the move, and it all worked out to the Yankees' advantage because Navarro throws Charlie O'Brien about a 55-foot splitter. And both runners advance.
You got to think this might be a stolen base because Paul O'Neill was on the move. Now look. Pitches in the dirt. O'Brien just does well to get a piece of the ball. There goes O'Neill thinking about third base. Well, the Yankees very aggressive here in the first inning. See Caruso coming into your picture and O'Neill taking off. Then Bernie Williams moving down to second.
That's O'Neill's 5th steal, and Charlie O'Brien goes to the mound. You don't think about pitching around a hitter in the first inning, but only Todd Zeile in the National League against the Florida Marlins has a better home runs per games played against ratio than Darryl Strawberry. I mean, he hasn't played much against the White Sox.
Only 19 at-bats and 5 home runs.
In just 6 games.
I was talking to Nardi Contreras before the game. He was saying it's going to take him a while to learn this staff. He's only been here a few days. But the White Sox have the worst pitching in the league. And if you can't pitch, you are not going to win many games.
Yeah, you could see the indecision right now on Navarro's part. Hangs the splitter and the count is full. He was ahead of O'Neill 0-2. He was ahead of Bernie Williams 0-2. And the same for Strawberry. All have come back to get hits as Posada waits on deck.
If I'm Darryl, this is not a guaranteed fastball with a base open.
And it's a breaking ball high, and he draws the walk. Bases loaded, still nobody out, and here comes Posada. And Nardi Contreras to update you on what the White Sox have done because of their miserable start. Jerry Manuel took over as the manager this year, and he inherited a coaching staff that the White Sox wanted him to try, and it wasn't that these were bad coaches, but he said, I would prefer to have my own people in place. And there's a quote from his new pitching coach, Nardi Contreras. Hitting and timing and pitching is upsetting timing, but the White Sox haven't been able to do that lately. And the other coach they added was Von Joshua. They brought Von Joshua in, who has worked with a lot of these minor league hitters. And Papa Jack, Ron Jackson, and Mike Pasek. That's longtime bench coach Joe Nosick on the White Sox bench.
Posada, bases loaded. First pitch, look for something you can really drive.
He did, and he was a little late, fouls it out of play, strike one.
Pitch might have been just a hair up, as when you get up there with the bases loaded and primarily after a walk to the previous hitter, think pitcher's not going to fool around. First pitch
No
is
question.
usually right there.
You can guess fastball. You saw your runners, O'Neill, Williams, and Strawberry. Off-speed pitch, a little low, 1-1. Kenny mentioned the worst starting pitching in the American League, and that is quite a change for these White Sox for the 1990s. Low, 2-1. I mean, they had the makings of a championship staff 5 years ago when they won the American League West with Jack McDowell, and Wilson Alvarez, Alex Fernandez, even veteran Tim Belcher. They're all gone. Again, Posada late. The count is 2-2.
So woeful in the Windy City. 5.79, highest in the majors. How about the month of May? That hasn't been very merry. Starters, second highest in the American League. The bullpen, second highest. Opposing lefties, 319.
And at the bottom, what they've done some of the other years during the 90s. And again, Posada stays alive. This is what you have to do. You come into Chicago, and if you're the Yankees, you can't help but look at the statistics and you say this is a mismatch. And the way you put away these teams that are struggling, and Jerry Manuel's team is certainly struggling, they're only 9-12 at home, is you jump on them early and take a lot of the heart right out of them. And that's what the Yankees are doing here. And Joe Torre's been able to sit and relax like that during most of the month of May. Chased a high fastball, and that's fouled out of play. Still 2-2. Chad Curtis, the seventh hitter in the Yankee lineup, waiting on deck. Big Frank Thomas, he's the DH tonight. He did something only a couple of hitters have done. Posada takes this up the middle, out of the reach of Caruso. O'Neill will score. Bernie Williams being waved home. And the throw a little late, gets away from O'Brien, and both Yankee runners will advance. Strawberry to third, Posada to second. It's 4-0, and still nobody out.
Well, that will go as a single and an RBI and an error on the throw by the center fielder Cameron that allowed the two runners to move up to second and third. Here's a look at the pitch. Finally a fastball, a little bit down, a little bit lower than the previous ones. And Posada fights it off past Caruso in the center. And once again, a speedy runner on second base in Bernie Williams. And watch Bernie come in to score. The ball gets by Charlie Williams, and the runners move up. So it's second and third now, still nobody out, as the Yankees have jumped all over the White Sox here in the first inning.
And finally, Navarro gets a right-handed hitter in Curtis, and that breaking ball is high. Low, 2-0. Mentioned Frank Thomas. Thomas did something yesterday that only a couple of hitters can boast about. He had a home run and shattered his bat. The barrel of the bat ended up at third base. The ball went over the left field wall. Jerry Manuel said Moises Alou do it, and Jack Howell did it against the Yankees' Tim Stoddard several years ago. Broken bat home run. That's it for a strike.
I saw Alou do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that most amazing thing, he did it at Olympic Stadium in Montreal.
Strawberry and Posada, the runners. Fouled out of play. Thomas said, I asked him about it before the game. He said a brand new bat. First time he'd ever used it. He says just bad wood. But most of the players today, the power hitters, use bats with rather thin handles. And all of that weight, it went right over that gap sign. All that weight is on the business end, and it's pretty easy to shatter those bats with a thin handle. Popped up outside of first and playable. Cordero will put it away, and the runners will hold. And the White Sox crowd, not a particularly good crowd here, gets a chance to applaud for the first out of the first inning. And our first opportunity to show you tonight's pitching matchup, courtesy of New York City Marriott Marquis. Last start for Navarro, 4 1/3, had a rough outing just like he's having tonight, and Hideki Irabu continued his solid pitching with 6 1/3 innings, allowing just 2 runs against the Orioles. he's had a long wait. Going to be very important for him to get to that mound and take as many warm-up pitches as they'll allow him.
Yeah, they might let him take a few extra, but I'm certain he will take at least the 4 runs that the Yankees have gotten him. That's nice when you hit the mound in the bottom of the first, you already got a 4-run lead.
May's hottest hitter in the American League, Scott Brocious. Good breaking ball in for a strike.
Brian Jordan of the St. Louis Cardinals. Jose Guillen of the Pittsburgh Pirates. How about Derek Jeter up there as well? Scott Brocious with the hot hitting is now second in the American League.
And gets another one. Posada got a good jump off second. He's should score easily, and he does. And Brocious alertly, that's a good play. Good base running. White Sox Mike Cameron overthrew the cutoff man, and Brocious hustled into second, picks up a couple of more ribbies, and it's 6-0 Yankees.
Well, the batting practice that they took yesterday in Boston against Red Sox pitching is continued tonight against the White Sox. Brocious, well, continues his hot swinging of the bat. And Mike Cameron, we've seen this 3 times this inning, trying to throw out somebody at the plate, hasn't gotten anybody. And in this time in particular, Brocious heads on down to second. And that's it for Jaime Navarro. This is the hit that knocks him out of the game in the first inning.
And as you might anticipate, giving up 6 runs in a third of an inning as Brocious alertly hustles into second. A very rude reception from the White Sox crowd as Jerry Manuel makes a pitching change. 1 out in the first. Yankees lead it by 6. Back on MSG after this.
New York Yankees baseball is brought to you by the irresistible taste that makes you say, did somebody say McDonald's? By American Express. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, American Express helps you do more. By your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer. There's only one Jeep, and it's only at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer. And by Nobody Beats the Wiz Home Entertainment Center.
Well, if you just missed us in the first part of the first inning, you missed a lot of action. Tom Fordham is the new White Sox pitcher, 24-year-old lefty. And he faces Swaim, who lifts this into short right field. Maglio Ordonez is there to make the grab. Runners will hold, and that's 2 down in the Yankee first.
Well, with Swaim coming to the plate, the Yankees, who did it twice in yesterday's game against the Red Sox, have now batted around 13 times in an inning this season.
You got to get new scorebooks where they allow 2 columns for each inning, because the Yankees bat around too often. Knobloch started it off with a tough at bat against Navarro and drew a walk. Tom Fordham out of San Diego, California, 11th round draft pick back in '93 when they had that great pitching staff. And I think Jerry Manuel's going to see how left-handers fare against this lineup. They're going to call up a 21-year-old tomorrow, Jim Parquet, out of UCLA. Is the that expression says a lot about what the first part of the season's gone like for Jerry Manuel. 1-1. Off-speed pitch. High and away, and it's 2-1 to Knobloch. Today's umpires lineup brought to you by NAM, National Arbitration and Mediation, most timely, cost-effective way to settle your legal disputes. Tim Cheetah has the plate tonight. The veteran Don Dinkinger, the chief, he's at first. Newcomer Marty Foster at second, and Rick Reed. They round out the umpiring crew. 2-2 to Knobloch.
Now, Fordham was called up for a while last year. And I guess in spring training he showed enough to make the ball club, and they're going to get a good look at him tonight to see what he can do.
Well, that's what has to be rebuilt on this ball club after losing all those quality pitchers in the mid-90s. Even with Frank Thomas and Ventura and Albert Bell, you do not win without a solid pitching staff.
And this is the way to work the younger pitchers in. They start them out in long relief, and if you show anything and somebody breaks down or just isn't doing the job in a starting rotation, all of a sudden you get a start. If you're semi-successful, they let you go out there again.
towards shortstop. Mike Caruso on the short hop, the off-balance throw to Cordero, and finally, after 10 men come to the plate, Tom Fordham stops the damage here. Hideki Irabu will take the mound with a 6-run lead as the White Sox come to bat in the bottom of the first. Hideki Irabu, and as you mentioned, Kenny, if he had enough innings in, he would qualify to lead the American League in earned run average.
I believe he has to throw 5 in the third tonight, Kitty, and then he'll take over the league lead from Pedro Martinez, who got wrapped around a bit today by Toronto Blue Jays.
Let's look at the lineup that Hideki Irabu will face. This is his first appearance against the White Sox. Ray Durham, perhaps the White Sox best all-around player, leads it off. Then Cordero, Frank Thomas, Albert Bell in the cleanup spot. Robin Ventura bats 5th. Maglio Ordonez, the rookie right fielder. Bottom third, Mike Cameron, Charlie O'Brien, and Mike Caruso. Starting lineups brought to you by Bob Stores. Great buys on brands you wear.
In the field for the Yankees as they set to defend a 6-run lead that they've taken in the first inning. Curtis Williams O'Neill in the outfield. Brosius Jeter, Knobloch and Swaim in the infield. Posada doing the catching tonight for Hideki Irabu. Dale Swaim yesterday afternoon made some good plays over at first base at Fenway Park. We've mentioned he's capable. He came up as a shortstop and capable of playing just about anywhere in the infield. And also had a couple hits.
He's probably happy to see the Yankees score 6 runs, but sorry he didn't get an at bat against Navarro. Hit him quite well. To update everyone on Tino Martinez, of course, it's not only getting hit in the back by Armando Benitez, but he jammed his shoulder sliding in a play at Fenway Park this weekend. So he had an MRI taken today. No structural damage, no muscle damage done, just some swelling. Irabu's pitch to Durham is in for a strike. So Tino rests, and even resting, the Yankees already have a 6th spot on the board in the first inning.
Tino's thinking they're using up all my RBIs.
Left field, Curtis playing near the line, hit fairly well, but he'll catch it on the run, 1 down. This was the week of Tino Martinez that you'd probably like to forget.
Yeah, bruised up a bit. First of all, Armando Benitez hitting him after the home run from Bernie Williams. That was on Friday. Well, of course, Benitez thrown out. That started a big fight. Then the slide into third base, and he jams his shoulder, running out a triple.
First pitch from Irabu to Cordero, high for a ball, and I have a feeling that sliding and jarring that shoulder, getting hit there had a little effect on it because there's a lot of swelling and the tissue is puffed up back there. Short right field, O'Neill will play it on a hop, and Cordero has a 1-out single.
And Tino mentioned in the clubhouse before the game today that on Saturday he could not have thrown a ball across the room. That's how sore his shoulder was. So Dale Swaim is filled in at first base, and the Yankees continue to win.
Which is why not as much of a point is made of the fact that for every game he misses because of the injury caused by Benitez, Benitez should have to sit an extra game. But the Yankees roll on anyway. Here's the big hurt, Frank Thomas. Not the normal Thomas-like numbers you see, particularly with the batting average. And Irabu's first pitch in for a strike. This is his first look at Hideki Irabu. Only Chad Kruger, who will probably catch and play tomorrow, is the only hitter on this roster that has seen Irabu. Take a look at yesterday when the Tigers pounded the White Sox. This is one of the few bright spots Chicago had.
Well, we talked about bats dying a hero. You see he has the handle in his hand. And look at the ball. That's Luis Gonzalez watching it go over the fence. The bat rolled out near third base.
Wow. Strength and bat speed. Thomas has them both. That's inside. That's 2-1.
That's why he's known as the Big Hurt.
Inside corner. That's a pitch when Frank first came up. He could sell American League umpires pretty good on that pitch, as Dave Winfield used to do. Not anymore. They're calling that corner pitch on him, even when he ducks out of the way.
He was thrown out of the game because of a pitch like this earlier this year. He argued on it and a called third strike, and eventually was tossed.
Gets away from Posada, but it's a foul ball, and the count holds. When Dave Winfield came up, he was very good at that. Pitch would be borderline strike, and Winnie would fly out of the way and give the umpire and everybody else the impression that the pitcher was brushing him back, and sometimes intimidate pitchers into throwing it out over the plate for him.
You see the lowest average this far into a season since 1993. In 1993, Frank Thomas ended up hitting .317 for the season.
That backs him up, and the count's full.
It appears that Hideki has a better fastball tonight than he had in his last start against the Orioles. Of course, you want to pitch Thomas inside to keep him from getting those strong arms extended, much in the same way as Dave Winfield.
Looks like they're going back in there again. Quick move to first. Chances are Cordero not going anywhere with the White Sox down 6 runs. Mel with the pitch counter. Like Joe Torre has been able to just sit back and enjoy what his staff has done. There's Cordero on the go, and that one is borderline on the inside corner, but goes for ball 4, and Thomas draws a 1-out walk.
And that was early in the season, particularly that first week of the season. Mel Stoudemire said, wouldn't hurt if our hitters got our pitchers some runs to work with. That was back when the Yankees were 1-4. That pitch just missed inside. But since then, you're right. The hitters have been hitting and the pitchers have been pitching. So everybody's been doing their job, and that's why the Yankees have won 33 out of 38.
And the danger of walking Frank Thomas, a team that is struggling right now, is now you have Albert Bell up there with one swing who can cut the lead in half. You know, pitchers' meetings before the game, as that pitch misses for a ball, you say pitch this guy low and away, high and tight. They're designed to go at a hitter late in the game when the game is at stake. But when you have a 6-run lead, you have to trust your stuff, throw it in the strike zone, and make them put the ball in play. Down the right field line, and that'll slice foul. 1-1 to Albert Bell. 10th major league season, the second here on the south side, and some pretty impressive numbers. And that's a look at the new White Sox batting instructor, Von Joshua.
He was out here earlier today with Albert Bell, who was taking batting practice well before the regular session for the White Sox.
But low, and it's 2-1. Von Joshua, for you Yankee fans that remember Deion James, kind of a contact hitter, left-hand hitter. That's the type of player Joshua was. Played in the 70s with the Dodgers, a bit with the Giants and the Padres, and also a little time with the Milwaukee Brewers. About an 8 or 9 year career. Now it's 3-1 to Bell. See, they're pitching to spots right now, according to what they've gone over in the meeting, and that's slowly working against Irabu. Because you put Bell on base, you're faced with Robin Ventura from the left side.
And we mentioned the fact that in his last start, Hideki struggles in the first inning of ball games. That's when he's finding his timing, finding what the umpire is going to give him. And half of his walks going into his last start had come in the first inning.
He's a pitch away from his second one here.
But I think one difference you see the look on his face. Last year you could see him getting frustrated at this point. Things weren't happening the way he wanted. I think that his complete makeup has changed emotionally.
Toward third. Brocious if it's fair, but it's foul, and the count will go full. That would have been a big break for the Yankees as Irabu got Bell to chase a pitch. I mean, that looked like even on the 3-1 pitch that it was a breaking ball.
Crossing just into foul territory. Now remember, it's not where Brocious is, it's where the ball is. And the ball is definitely in foul territory. Long extension on the swing, and that pitch is over the outside corner. Pretty good pitch from Irabu.
Only Jeffrey Hammonds has driven in a run as a right-hand hitter against Irabu this year. Outside, and he has walked Thomas and Bell back-to-back, and the White Sox have a chance to get right back in this ball game.
Well, you mentioned it's the White Sox first look at Hideki Irabu. It works the other way, too.
Yeah. But a pitcher has the advantage.
He's got the ball.
Right, he's got the ball. He's got a 6-run lead. And the only mistake you can make early in the game when you have a big lead is doing what Hideki is doing right now, pitching a little too cautiously. And now Ventura will step in with the bases loaded. And he has just begun to swing the bat a little bit better the last week. Hit well down in the corner. It is hooking just fine.
Remember what I said coming up to the plate after a walk that loads the bases? That first pitch was right there for Ventura, but in a way he missed it because he pulled it foul. The target is outside, but the pitch is going to be right down the middle. He turns on it, hits it well, and he almost figured maybe I won't get another pitch this good during the whole at bat. Right there, about belt high, thigh high. He drills it. Hit it too good, pulled it foul. What a game.
That's on the edge, 0-2.
It's, see, by missing that first one, now Hideki's ahead on the count. He can go for a corner, and he hits it.
He's done well in this situation, but Irabu and Posada with a couple of pitches to work with now, and Hideki's been very effective against lefties with that splitter. Got him on the inside edge, and that's what it was. Ventura backed away and didn't think so, but the splitter, even though it wasn't his best one, it did break back across the inside corner.
Now, Kitty, you called that like you would have thrown it yourself. Now, here's the pitch. The target's in. You see the ball dip. Just dove just enough into the strike zone for call strike 3. And that was because the previous pitch had been over the outside corner. Ventura's leaning, backs off on the splitter, and is called out on strikes.
2 down now, and here's young Maglio Ordonez, 24-year-old rookie. Venezuela. Curveball misses. A little pop. Batting average down around 250. Showed good power in the minor leagues.
American Association Rookie of the Year last year at the Nashville.
1-1 to Ordonez. Big out for Irabu. Ventura knows it. If there was a chance for the White Sox to get back in this ball game, it was that at bat right there.
Thought I saw Hideki shake off a pitch.
Right up the middle and back to Irabu. He'll take the short way home, and he pitches out of a bases loaded 1-out jam. Survives a little wild streak, back-to-back walks, but we head to the top of the second. Yankees still lead at 6-0.
NHL Cool Shots presented by Powerade. Check your local listings.
Welcome back to the south side of Chicago. Wow, these used to be such attractive matchups, the Yankees and the White Sox, but things a little dead here on the south side. Memorial Day, not a particularly big crowd, and with the Yankees up by 6, not a lot to cheer about for the hometown crowd. But we'll remind you of our Delta Airlines upcoming schedule. White Sox and Yankees go at it again tomorrow and Wednesday, both 7:30 starts. We'll have them for you on MSG. And then a weekend 4-gamer with the Red Sox Thursday and Friday on the WB11. On Fox Saturday, Sunday we'll be with you here on MSG. Fordham's first pitch to Jeter, in for a strike.
Derek Jeter scored a run in the first inning after a base hit. His league leading 43rd run of the year.
In on the hands, popped into short right field. Durham says he'll take it, and he does. 1 down.
Pretty good fastball by Tom Fordham, who got it in on Jeter's hands, and maybe a little bit of a smile on his face. Ray Durham, the young second baseman's been hot with the bat, but it's got to be demoralizing for a lot of these young players on the Sox.
Chance to show what they can do to the front office and manager Jerry Manuel. Wow, that was some swing right there. O'Neill fouled it straight back. I guess as a hitter, you do all your preparation looking for Jaime Navarro, and one swing through the batting order, and you're looking at Tom Fordham, a lefty.
Veteran hitter Paul O'Neill. It is interesting. Before the game, I was talking to Paul about the fact that the White Sox have not said who's going to pitch for them tomorrow. That ball was just he was moving in and had to be moved back.
Nothing wrong with that pitch.
Yeah, but Paul said to me, he said, you know, I know what they're going to do. They're going to call up some lefty phenom and pitch against us. And he was exactly right.
That's what they're doing. They're calling up Jim Parquet, product of UCLA. Off-speed pitch, and O'Neill says, there's your brush back. Comes back with a breaking ball and leaves it on the inside half, and he's perfect. Halfway to the cycle, 2 for 2.
Well, after getting knocked down, getting the back of his uniform dirty, I guess you got to have some of that. What's that group, Chumbawanga? Get knocked down, get up again. You're never going to keep me down. Here's the contact by O'Neill. You can see the ball. You can barely see it because the bat really covers it. Solid line drive into center field for a base hit. Yeah, you're never going to keep me down.
Underneath the batting cage today with underneath the dugout, actually, in the batting cage. Bernie's having trouble getting the donut off the bat. Paul going through every at-bat, how he's been getting beat on the inside pitch. And he's answered tonight with 2 for 2. Bernie now will turn around to the right side. That infield single off starter Jaime Navarro. Outside, ball 1.
You mentioned the infield single from Bernie in the first inning. You know, you get an infield hit your first time up, you come around to score a run, you figure, man, I didn't even hit the ball well. I'm already 1 for 1 tonight. I'm going to have a good night tonight.
Bernie on what for years was his best side. That's hit toward Ventura. Should be a quick 2 as Durham turns it nicely. And Fordham restores a little order for the White Sox with a nice second inning, retiring the Yankees. We head to the White Sox half of the second. Yankees with that early start lead at 6-0. To Comiskey, the sun setting here at just a little before 7 Central Standard Time. Hideki Irabu to face Mike Cameron with a 6-run lead. And he chases that one and loops a single into short right field.
Well, a base hit for Cameron leading it off here.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, those Red Sox will be in town. A couple of 7:30 starts, then 1 o'clock. Bell Ford Tharp Company presents 75th anniversary Press Pin Day on Saturday. Then on Sunday, we'll be with you on MSG. That's Dime Savings Bank. You'll get a Yankee cap that day. And then next week, the White Sox for a 2-gamer and the first look at the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. And right after that, interleague play will start. Florida Marlins will be into the stadium. So June is upon us. And as you see Charlie O'Brien's numbers, the Yankees would prefer to just hold it right in May. This has been a great month for them. First pitch, a ball to the veteran catcher. Cameron on the move. And the White Sox down 6-0, but Cameron with an excellent jump steals that easily.
Yeah, maybe they feel they can run themselves back into the ballgame. One thing they do is take away the ground ball double play with Charlie O'Brien at the plate. That is always a possibility with a runner at first base. Not too much speed for Charlie.
In the air, short right center. O'Neill is over to make the call. Cameron will tag but not advance, and there's 1 down. The White Sox second.
Here's a look at Mike Cameron at second. And his average was at .213 when he came to the plate. And here's a guy who is legitimately a 5-tool player. Has some power, excellent speed, good fielder, strong arm. We saw it plenty in the first inning. But it's just not happening with the bat. Maybe Von Joshua could bring him out of the funk.
I think that the best physique on a baseball player I've ever seen is Glenn Bragg. Remember Glenn Bragg?
Yeah. Oh.
And Cameron has that running back physique. You mentioned he's got all the baseball skills, great body to go along with it. Here's young Mike Caruso, shows bunt, takes high for a ball.
Glenn Bragg ended up in Japan. I don't think Mike Cameron's going to end up in Japan, though.
No. Well, that's one of the reasons they made the coaching change. Von Joshua has had Cameron. In fact, Mike said he salvaged my career in the minor leagues. He really got me going to the point where I was able to get to the big leagues. 1-1 to Caruso.
Here's another look at Von Joshua, and you mentioned he played for all 3 West Coast teams in the National League. featuring the West Coast offense.
Talking to ex-Yankee Ruben Sierra. That's on the edge, 1-2. Irabu able to show the White Sox 4 pitches that he can throw right now. Of course, a lot of them don't have anything to compare him to from last year. 2-strike bunt, and Brocious, he could have let it go foul anyway, and he did. I believe that was a 2-strike bunt.
Now the ball went foul, but I think Brocious was trying to make the play on Caruso. Now he'll pick it up in foul territory, but Scott Brocious very aggressive at third base, thinking he could make any play. And why not? He just about has all year long. Maybe he knows the ball is foul and completes the play just in case the umpires call it fair.
Well, I had the wrong count. I thought I saw Tim Cheetah. Caruso bluffed a bunt on the first play and then a called strike, but obviously one of those was a ball, so now it's 2-2. And he swings away and strikes out anyways. Second strikeout of the game for Irabu, and there's 2 out in the White Sox second.
Caruso overmatched on this pitch. Down and away. Watch the swing. That was just a hope and a prayer. Neither are answered.
Here's Ray Durham. That .294 average, and if you talk to people around the White Sox, he is perhaps their best all-around player. We know that Thomas and Bell and Ventura are the marquee players, but he has settled into the leadoff spot, can steal some bases, turns the double play.
On-base percentages come up this year.
2-0 now to Durham.
I don't know what all that noise is in between pitches, but it's not very. No.
I think the sound effects people hear at White Sox Park as Durham fouls that out of play, trying to, get this crowd to come to life. I mean, you get spoiled following the Yankees. Even the other night when the Yankees were down to the Orioles and the 5-1, and the fans got into it in the 7th inning. That means so much to a ball club. And here on the south side, everything has just been dead. The pitchers aren't pitching, the hitters aren't hitting, and the fans aren't coming out. There's a look now. The top line right over that scoreboard as that pitch is high and away. Supposedly this line right here, which is the first row of the upper deck, across the street at the old ballpark, that was the top of the stadium. And that's why a lot of fans come here and say, I'm not going to sit in the upper deck. That's too far away. That was actually the highest seat in the old ballpark. Max Durham out of the batter's box, and he draws a walk. So Irabu, even with the big lead, is not sharp with his control here in the first couple innings. That's his 3rd walk.
White Sox averaging just over 15,000 per game. So you're right, things not happening over here on the south side. A lot of attention right now, as you might expect, paid to the Chicago Bulls in basketball in the playoffs, going for their 6th championship. And the Cubs are playing pretty well on the north side.
Cordero high for a ball. Hard to believe on a holiday and a beautiful day that you wouldn't have more people than this at the ballpark, but then again, it's hard to believe that you have a holiday known for baseball and the Mets aren't even playing today. They're off. Good night to paint the seats. A lot of empty ones. 2-0.
Cordero, with his problems last year, released by the Red Sox as spousal abuse, and said one of the few people in baseball to call him while he was out of baseball. He signed as a free agent with the White Sox after spring training was over, was Jerry Manuel, who had been with Cordero when he was up in Montreal. Cordero was a shortstop, then an outfielder. Jerry Manuel was the third base coach. And he didn't call him so much as to ask him if he wanted to play for the White Sox. He just asked him if he was okay as a person.
That's why you think Jerry Manuel will succeed as a manager, because he's such a caring guy. Granted, you have to have the talent. Runners on the go, and this is hit well into deep left field. Curtis has it measured, though. Ball started out well and then died in left field. Irabu again survives an inning, which the White Sox strand a couple. They have stranded 5 through the first 2 innings. 6-0 Yankees. Chicago reminder, New York Yankee baseball is brought to you in part by Guinness, the perfect pint. And across the street at the original Comiskey Park, home plate, which is now, sad to say, just a parking lot, as Darryl Strawberry takes ball 1. And I know you are too, because I remember a high fastball I threw there about August of 1975, and they're still looking for it.
You won the game though, Kitty.
That ball is low, 2-0. You never forget your firsts in a lot of things in life, and that was one of the first places I saw a game, broke in there. A lot of fond memories of old Comiskey Park, and I'm sure you do too.
Yeah. Won the pennant there in 1983.
I was there to watch my ex-teammate Tito Landrum, I think, took Britt Burns over the wall for a home run.
Great ball game. I think it was about the 11th or 12th inning. Britt Burns went all the way for the White Sox.
Good fastball by Fordham. He's settled in now and showing a pretty live arm. The count has gone 3-1 to Darryl. And that backs him out of there. And Darryl Strawberry draws his second walk of the game to lead off the Yankee third.
You got to figure that Fordham is somewhat pumped up. It's a chance for him to show his new pitching coach, Nardi Contreras, and of course Jerry Manuel, the manager, that maybe deserves a little bit more work.
Plus down 6, you know, you can gamble, try some new pitches. Not a lot of pressure out there right now. It's a big upside for Tom Fordham. Strawberry not going anywhere.
Plus a chance to knock down some of that ERA that came in at 10.34.
Off-speed pitch. I don't know if this would have a carryover effect, but the starting pitcher tomorrow, Jim Parquet, the young lefty they're going to bring up for their minor league system, is a 5'11" lefty. So a lot of these Yankee hitters are going to see a similar style. That might be helpful. That's in for a strike, 1-1.
You mentioned earlier that Nardi Contreras is going to see a 5'11", 160-pound lefty that throws in the 90s.
They said he's a sneaky 90. Probably like Whitey Ford. You never thought of Whitey Ford as a power pitcher, but when he had to, he could throw you a pretty good fastball. Then he had Elston Howard, helping him scuff it up once in a while. That didn't hurt anything either. 2-1 to Posada.
You're talking about a Hall of Fame pitcher.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a few of them.
I watched Whitey Ford go 25-4 one year.
Yeah, I did too. Fordham, difficulty finding the strike zone, and the count is 3-1 to Posada. Hit well, but straight away center. Mike Cameron's there. He puts it away, 1 down. Talking with Jorge before the game, and I guess tonight's game would be an example of how that pays off. I said, how do you prepare? Because so many players now look at video. I said, do you look at Navarro? He said, I just look at my at-bats. Look at how I'm swinging, which is good because Navarro's out of the ball game. So he's a little more concerned about his swing than who's throwing the ball. Here's Curtis.
Of course, looking at video started near the end of my career, and what I tried to do was look at video of me doing positive things, positive reinforcement for you before you even went up to hit. If you've been struggling at the plate, why look at the bad things?
No kidding. Boy, now players can take, you and Charlie Wanzowitz, the video coordinator, you can look at every pitch, every at bat back in that little TV in the clubhouse. Curtis hits this well to left field. Bell, and the ball is not carrying particularly well out there, is going to have room to put it away. I tell you, both the ball Cordero hit and the one Curtis hit had a nice sound to them, but they didn't go anywhere. Maybe that's why.
It looks like the wind is blowing in. Maybe not as briskly as I've seen it in the past here in Chicago, but just enough to put a little hurt on it.
In Yankee Stadium, if the flags were blowing in, the ball would actually carry. Here, obviously, it's holding it up a little and left. Nothing holding up this guy, Scott Brocious, the American League's best hitter in the month of May. 0-1, ball 1.
11 for his last 21. Then hitting the ball, well, they hit a home run at Fenway yesterday over the Green Monster. A couple of hits to right field. Single to center tonight.
In for a strike, 1-1.
And I think you mentioned early in the year, Kitty, that last year he got pull conscious.
Right.
And it really hurt his average to just over 200. Didn't hit as many home runs. And when you start using the whole field, you feel confident you can hit anything, especially when they make a mistake. That's when you jack up.
Sharply toward Caruso at short from the hole. He'll throw out Strawberry at second. And Tom Fordham now for 2 2/3 innings has shut down the Yankee bats. We head to the bottom of the third. Hideki Irabu and the Yankees still on top, 6-0. Third. As Frank Thomas steps in, a reminder that it's coming up in just a couple of weeks, June 6th, D-Day. Heavyweight Championship of the World, Evander Holyfield, the real deal, as Thomas spanks this toward third. A couple of hops. Brocious is there. Toss to Swaim in time, 1 down. Evander Holyfield set to defend his heavyweight title against 6'7" giant Henry Akinwande. It's at the Mecca. Holyfield will join Ali, Frazier, Lewis, Dempsey, and Holmes as the only heavyweight champs to defend their title at the Garden. And tickets for the June 6th Heavyweight Championship of the World, Holyfield and Akinwande, are on sale now at the Garden box office and all Ticketmaster locations. Wow, that's just less than 2 weeks away. Albert Bell, who drew a walk in his first at-bat as Irabu appears to be settling in. Speaking of boxing and looking at Albert Bell, when he first came up, grounds that foul. I always thought, I compared him to hands as fast as Muhammad Ali. And that's how Albert Bell, he stands there and you look at him as a pitcher and you say there's no way he can be that quick from that bat position. But his hands are so fast.
He holds his bat almost in the middle of his chest. Then he brings him back and then follows through on the swing. And you're right. You'll see him set up with the bat just about right there in the middle of his chest. Brings the bat as soon as Irabu starts to deliver.
Grounds that breaking ball out toward short. Jeter has to retreat a step. Nice throw to Swaim in time. 2 quick ground ball outs for Irabu.
Here's the setup once again of Albert, and watch him bring the bat back away from his body and then bring the swing on through. The stride, the ground ball to short, and thrown out. How about the left side of the Yankee infield? I mean, Brocious and Jeter, the type of defense that those two can play. One comes in tonight hitting .342, the other .345.
Could be an easy inning for Irabu as Brocious ranges out there and puts it away, and it is a nice 1-2-3 inning. Al Troutwig will be along to join Kenny in the fourth. Hideki Irabu has settled down nicely. A third of the way through at Comiskey. The Yankees lead it 6-0.
The White Sox 6-0, knocking Jaime Navarro 1 out into the game, out of the ball game. Hi everybody, Al Troutwig along with Ken Singleton. And Kenny, if you want to know what this Yankee season has been like, and if you want to know what the Chicago White Sox season has been like, all you have to do is show someone the first inning.
Exactly. The Yankees just ran all over the White Sox and Jaime Navarro out of the ball game quickly, and Hideki Irabu has just come on and done the good pitching that he's done in the past. Struggled a little bit to get things going, but now it seems like he's going in the right direction.
His last inning was a 1-2-3 affair, and Dale Swain in again for Tino Martinez tonight. Swings through the first pitch of Tom Fordham. I doubt that Fordham was mentally thinking about coming into this ball game 1 out into it. Swain hitting 136 and knocks this one down the left field line toward Albert Bell. And Mr. Popularity pulls it down 1 away. It's all good for the Yankees so far in this game, with 6 runs in the first inning, and you see how they built it with the success off the Chuck Knobloch leadoff walk. Jeter, O'Neill with 2, Williams, Strawberry with 2 walks, Posada with a hit, and Scott Brocious 2. And that's a recipe for a 6-0 lead. The reason Knobloch was 0 for 1 is that he was the 10th man to hit in that first inning, and he grounded out.
But lately, not only scoring runs, but driving them in too.
Kenny, when a weekend is over, you say to yourself, man, no Tino Martinez. Paul O'Neill didn't kill us. You know, Darryl didn't send one over any wall anywhere, and we lost to Chuck Knobloch with a 3-run home run and a grand slam, and Dale Swain killed us at first base.
Scott Broshia's had a good series up in Boston. He's been hot for, well, the whole month.
Point is that there's just about no scenario by which the Yankees could conceivably play you even up and bury you. Joe Torre spoke to the team before tonight's game, simply said it's one of his fears after you put back-to-back big offensive games together that you think you're just going to whack it around and keep it going like that. I want everybody to just keep it easy, play the fundamental games that we've been doing, and from the very beginning of this ball game, that's exactly what the Yankees did. That hit and run by Derek Jeter as the second hitter of the ball game told you all you need to know.
And there's also the fear that the team will come out flat after having a big series and figure, we'll just walk in here in Chicago. The White Sox have been struggling. Pitchers haven't been able to do anything, get anybody out. But then they pounce right on them in the first inning, and Navarro's gone, and Fordham's in the ball game.
3-2 to Knobloch, and he walks for the second time in the ball game with 1 out here in the 4th.
That is Fordham's second walk. Now, last time he got in on the hands of Derek Jeter and popped him up. Now let's see if he tries it again, and if Jeter can counteract that and think back to his last at bat. You're not supposed to let one at bat affect the another as he comes up to the plate. So if he remembers what happened last time, you'll see if Fordham tries to do it again. Now, I've mentioned this to Jim Cott. Pitchers are like bad criminals. They always return to the scene of the crime.
Sure, Jimmy loved that one.
Well, he knows it's true.
That's great.
They try and get you out the same way again. It's up to the hitters not to let him. Now he's going to come back on later and hold up for the pitchers. That's okay.
Tony Castillo warming up in the Comiskey Park Chicago White Sox bullpen. Jim Cott, a 1975 All-Star Game representative of the Chicago White Sox. I believe they wore red and white then.
It's kind of an off red.
Yeah. Dick Allen had those red shoes. Jeter goes strong to the opposite field. Back goes Ordonez. Back to the fans who have a great seat, and it hits off the fence. Jeter's pushing Knobloch all the way around, and Willie Randolph holds him up at third base. Derek Jeter, Chuck Knobloch flashing some opposite field power in Boston, and now here in Chicago. It missed by feet, as you saw, from being a home run.
Now Fordham is a good university, but this is a bad pitch. Out over the plate, Jeter jumps on it.
No, he rammed it.
Ordonez back to the wall, and there's the double retrieve by an outfielder. Retrieving one way and then back the other towards the infield. Here's Knobloch at first. Realize the ball has fallen in. Now he's going to turn it on. And he's going to score the Yankees' 7th run of the game.
Play by Durham over to first in time. Jeter hangs in at third. O'Neill is retired for the first time in the ball game.
See, when you come back and well, this pitch was out over the plate. He didn't really come up and in. But Jeter's been driving this pitch well, I'd say, for the whole month of May. Now he thought it went out of the ballpark. Actually, hit second on his way to third in with the easy triple.
He spent a lot of time watching that ball.
He hit it well. He thought it might be going out.
And I think that could be the only reason why he's shaking his head there at third base. Knobloch and Joe Torre going over the sequence as Bernie Williams watches that pitch sail wide, 1-0. It's not too often that a Yankee goes to the dugout and sits down next to Joe Torre and discusses something.
I don't think I ever did that in my whole career in Baltimore with Earl Weaver.
I wonder why. So Earl, wasn't I great on that play?
I had him come down the bench and sit next to me a few times, though.
Now they go quiet. What was the worst thing you ever did as a player that he scolded you the worst for? The worst scolding you ever got?
It happened here in Chicago across the street.
The old Comiskey Park. That's a strike, 1-2.
I dropped an easy fly ball. Nothing happened during the inning, but I came in after the inning, sat down. He walked the length of the bench, sat down next to me, asked me what happened. I said, I dropped it.
Good answer.
And he said, okay, and he walked already down. But what he was really telling me, don't do it anymore.
Bernie singled, scored a run, and grounded into a double play.
I felt like saying, where were you?
Another foul ball. So that's the worst scolding.
He yelled at me for trying to steal third base once. Here's a look at Knobloch, and maybe they're talking about the base running here. Now he rounds second and then turns it on when he sees the ball fall in. Maybe Joe's saying maybe you shouldn't go around second, because what if he catches the ball? Then you got to try and get back to first.
Bernie rips one to left field. That'll fall in front of Albert Bell, and it's going to be another Yankee run. They lead it 8-0. Bernie's second hit. He gets the RBI. Jeter scores. Jerry Manuel's dying a little bit.
He's seen this much too often with the pitching of his team. Jeter, following his 4th triple of the year, scores another run tonight. That's 44 runs for Jeter now.
Nardi Contreras, the new pitching coach. Boy, does he have some work to do. Does he have the pitchers to work with? Darryl Strawberry's walked twice. You know, not to overanalyze the Knobloch-Torre get-together, but it's the one thing that I think Joe Torre has been very, very obvious since the Yankees started to go well. The moment there was the slightest little fly ball with miscommunication, someone didn't execute the hit and run, a missed sign, he goes right after it to let everybody know, and we've brought this up before.
Yep.
I'm in charge of quality control here, guys, and it's going to be the same every night. We'll have no complacency. In there for a strike, 2-1.
And it's not as if he's dressing you down. He's explaining what he wants to have done. And that's the difference between Joe Torre and Earl Weaver, who was screaming at everybody. But, he got himself to the Hall of Fame.
Big breaking ball. Strawberry's frozen by it. It's 2-2.
And I'm sure Billy Martin, in his day, a contemporary of Earl Weaver, had a few screaming matches with some players.
Can we go more than a few without going on a limb? Darryl skies one that looks like it's headed toward the seats.
But I will say this about Billy Martin, and I played for him in the All-Star game in 1977 at Yankee Stadium. And before the All-Star team was picked, I was going to be reserved that year. We're playing in Yankees in Baltimore, and Billy came all the way across the field after our batting practice and informed me that he was going to pick me for the All-Star team. I thought that was very classy. Went right up in the clubhouse, called my dad, said, "Dad, I'm coming to New York. I'm going to be in the All-Star team." Billy Martin just told me that. I think that was a gracious thing for Billy to do. And I know a lot of people say Billy was otherwise, but to me, that was a classy thing to do.
Nice memory.
Yeah. First time I ever made the All-Star team, too.
3-2 count to Darryl Strawberry with 2 outs here in the Yankee 4th. 6 in the first, 2 here. It is 8-0 New York. Darryl goes for the high pitch and knocks it through for a single. Bernie lopes his way over to third base, and the Yankees have 2 on with 2 away. Well, you talk about going to get a pitch.
And not only that, the Yankees are really running the bases tonight. You notice how just about every hit, the runner on first moves up at least 2 bases. We saw Jeter score from first.
Yeah.
And there's the base hit by Strawberry. He's got a perfect night going, 2 walks and a single.
And it looks as though Tom Fordham's day is done. So he leaves after putting a couple of zeros up on the board, but not enough of a long distance man here to finish the job for the Chicago White Sox and Jerry Manuel. Castillo on his way in. We're on our way out, but soon we'll be back on MSG.
You'll find it easy to get to.
But very hard to leave. It's the Mohegan Sun way.
We keep the line short and the action non-stop. It's the Mohegan Sun way. Everybody wins at these tables. It's the Mohegan Sun way.
We'll make every visit one you'll remember. It's the Mohegan Sun way.
Exit 76 off I-95 in Connecticut. Like no place on earth. Come experience
The Mohegan Sun way.
Tony Castillo, who'll be the next pitcher for the Chicago White Sox. Meanwhile, join Walt Clyde Frazier, Willis Reed, Bernard King, and many others on Thursday, June 4th for the Valerie Fund Celebrity Sports Auction to benefit kids with cancer and blood disorders. Enjoy a night of dinner, autographs, and fun, and see and be treated by the best in NBA history while supporting 3,000 children treated by the Valerie Fund each year. For more information, call 1-800-8-VALERIE. And the good thing about going to a night like that with Clyde and Willis is that those guys are great schmoozers. They will make it fun for you. Meanwhile, Nardi Contreras is schmoozing all the pitchers. The first night he arrived here about 11 o'clock and stayed up the entire night just watching videos of the White Sox pitchers. And what we've seen here tonight, it's a term project. Tony Castillo now down 8-0 with 2 outs and 2 on here in the 4th. Jorge Posada singled and flied out, has 2 RBIs with that single back in the 1st. Nardi once with the Yankees, of course, tight with Buck Showalter, recently fired by the Seattle Mariners. Charging play at short, Cameron in time, and Castillo gets the job done on the Posada groundout. But through 3.5 innings, the Yankees continue to roll, enjoying life. 8-0. More on MSG tomorrow.
Chrysler in Plymouth announces the owner's bonus sale.
Comiskey Park, Al Troutward, Ken Singleton, and Hideki Irabu to Maglio Ordonez. And we get back just in time with this fly ball over the head of Derek Jeter. 1 out here in the Chicago half of the 4th. 8-0 Yankees. Yankees baseball is brought to you in part by Heineken, brewed true since 1886. Seek the truth. So 1 quick out here in the bottom of the 4th inning. And now the hitter will be Mike Cameron. Irabu, I thought, in that 1st inning, Kenny, was just trying to be a little too perfect.
You know, it seems that it takes a while for him to get going. Every start that starts to hone in on the strike zone, he's got a good fastball tonight. Better than his last start against Baltimore.
Dale Swain, 2 outs. He's putting it over the plate. Now the White Sox are swinging at it. He's coming off a 1-2-3 inning, Irabu is. And now it's Charlie O'Brien. This is a strange team. You know, you think it's at one point they were constructed with veterans and big salary guys like they were contenders, and then you look at some of the other spots and you say, no, they must be rebuilding. And that's the problem. The team has no idea what it's supposed to be, I think.
You know, I think the heart was taken out of the club last year when they traded those pitchers, and Jerry Reinsdorf said, we're not going to catch Cleveland anyway, despite the fact they were only 3.5 games behind. I mean, trading Danny Darwin, Wilson Alvarez, and Roberto Hernandez. I know they were going to be free agents, and you try and get some prospects for them, including shortstop Mike Caruso, who's playing here now. But I think that really hurts a team when they're only 3.5 back.
Between the way this franchise has operated and the way the Bulls' future has been predicted with Jordan and Jackson and those guys, Mr. Reinsdorf shouldn't be running for public office. Hard shot. That's a fair ball by Charlie O'Brien. And he's going to take another base as Curtis goes over to pick it up. It's a 2-out double for the Chicago White Sox and Charlie O'Brien. Third hit off of Irabu.
Yeah, it looks like a splitter that kind of hangs in the middle of the plate. Didn't do very much. Yeah, that's what it was. Kind of hung right there, and Charlie just strokes it down the third baseline. And they're going to pick up a 2-base hit.
O'Brien's been around, and now it's Caruso who struck out his first time up. One of the other things I think is that Hideki Irabu becomes a different pitcher when guys are on base. It's like there's two personalities. And of course, that's a great personality for a pitcher to have.
Yeah, like my ERA is not going to change.
Little pop up for Posada. And Hideki Irabu's ERA hasn't changed yet. Could be going in the southerly direction. Through 4, it's the Yankees 8, Chicago nothing. Down 8-0, and already the third Chicago White Sox pitcher as we move to the top of the 5th inning. In a moment, I'll be joined by Jim Cott, who would want me to tell you that this copyrighted telecast is authorized under rights granted by the New York Yankees solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience, and that's you. Any publications, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Yankees and MSG Network is prohibited. So it'll be Chad Curtis to start things off for the Yankees, up 8-0. And Jimmy, good to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you. Happy Memorial Day.
Tough spot when you come in the bullpen and your team's, it feels like you're out of the game. I mean, the way the season's been going, the way the runs haven't been being scored, the way the pitchers haven't been pitching.
But the one thing, Al, I think you keep in mind if you're Tony Castillo or Tom Fordham, sure, your team is out of it. They're down 8. But every time you play in a major league game, there's a reason to look good. Either for your own manager or a lot of scouts traveling around looking at both of these teams.
Curtis fists one, and it'll be caught in the air, one away.
There'll be some trades made by the middle of the year because there's only 5 or 6 teams that are going to have a champ. The division races are almost getting out of hand right now. So if you're Tony Castillo, who's a veteran lefty, and you show some scouts that you can get left-hand hitters out, that goes in their report. Somebody will go back and say, hey, White Sox aren't doing anything with this guy. We might be able to use him.
Castillo to Scott Brocious, swinging at a first pitch and fouling it into the seats.
Plus, I think you have to go back to the basic, the piece with Joe Girardi on our pregame scorecard show was beautiful about how Joe is content to not play as much, to do whatever it takes to win, kind of nurture the development of Jorge Posada. He talked about playing the game. And that's what everybody on that field, regardless of where you're in the standings right now, every guy out there in uniform wanted to be a big league ball player. That's why you play the game, and regardless of where you are in the standings, you have to have that attitude when you're out there. Joe coming back home where he'll be building a new home up here on the north side.
Scott Brocious to left field in the glove of Albert Bell.
Well, if you're a pitcher tonight, Al, make him hit it to left field. I noticed a couple of balls hit that direction.
They're just dying out there.
But Jeter's ball to right just kept on going. So it's a left-hand hitter's ballpark. If you hit the ball out toward right field, it'll carry.
And wasn't it Cordero really hit a ball that I thought had a chance too, and that wound up in Chad Curtis's mitt. Derek Jeter just missed a home run with opposite field power, a triple that got the Yankees a run last inning. Here's Dale Swain. That's off Charlie O'Brien, strike 1 with 2 outs here on the top of the 5th. It was bad karma here at Comiskey Park, as everyone who was here, I'd say it was about 1,500 fans, and all the players watched the Chicago Bulls lose today. Swain high to short center, and Ray Durham with his second put out of the inning. So we've played 4.5, and the Yankees lead is 8-0. We'll see how Hideki Irabu handles Prosperity in a moment. We're back on MSG. Hideki Irabu now will face the Chicago White Sox in the top 3 of their batting order, up 8-0. He had that extra break on the bench back in the first inning when the Yankees sent 10 men to the plate and scored 6 runs. What do you think of his stuff tonight?
After the first couple innings, you can really tell now. A combination, the White Sox had opportunities early, and I think they kind of feel like they're out of it right now, and he's getting sharper.
He's retired, let's see, 7 of the last 8 without a problem. Working the gum hard as he pitches to Jorge Posada. Ray Durham sends this one out to Paul O'Neill, and moving over, he makes the catch on the run. Now tonight, this game, as all his starts are, being broadcast nationally in Japan. Let's see, it's 7 o'clock, so I think it's about 6 o'clock in the morning.
I'll take your word for it.
This is breakfast from Comiskey Park. This is on national network television on NHK. It's, let's see, 9:42 in the morning, so it's sort of like Good Morning Tokyo. Let's listen in.
コースにあんまり際どいところに来てないんですよ、今日は。そうすると、江藤さんね、イラブの、攻略法としては、ストレートを狙っていくということになるわけですかね。今日のピッチングの組み立てから見ますと、その方が一番攻略できる方法ですけどね。なるほどね。インサイドです。ストレートをこう内外へこううまくこう投げ分けてますよね。また、その中で追い込まれたりなんかするとバッターがまた余計なこと考えちゃうんですよ。フォークボールがあるかな、あるいはカーブが来るかな、そういうところの惑いをうまく利用してるってことですよね。今日は江藤さん、フォークボールは極端に少ないんですけれど、それでもやはりフォークボールに対する恐怖と言いましょうかね、そういうのは意識のどこかにあるんですよね。そうですね。落としてきました。今のフォークボールですけども、イラブのフォーク調子がいい時はですね、これ本当に手がつけられないと言いますかね、それくらいの威力持ってますから。ただ今日は本当に今ボールになりましたけど、本当に少ないですね。少ないですね。それだけストレートにも威力があるという、そういうことなんだろうと思います。ここで緩い球。この辺は近藤さん、余裕のピッチングでしょうかね。余裕っていうこともあるんですけど、非常にキャッチャーのポサーダがね、相手バッターの特徴っていうのをよく見てますよ。
Well, Jim, those are the kinds of things you and I talk about all the time.
Where's George Rose when you need him? I mean, he's down there in the dugout. But I don't know how you say Cy Young in Japanese. Maybe those announcers sit it a time or two, but a couple of more outings like this. I mean, right now you'd say Pedro Martinez has been the best pitcher in the American League, but with a few more starts, this guy's right up at the top, Irabu.
You heard the three announcers, the color commentators, one a former Tokyo Giant, the other plays for the Teo Whales. Did play for the Teo Whales, and as the conversation goes along, you hear a lot of and hi. It's a Japanese custom to reaffirm that you are listening and being attentive to someone who's speaking to you on the phone, in person. They're not trying to be disruptive at all. It's the complete opposite. You know, when you talk to someone on the phone in this country, for the most part, you just sit there and listen while someone goes off. They want to know you're always there, and it's the same way, I guess, when they're talking on television doing a baseball game.
And I guess it's a tail end of the rush hour over there, about almost 10 o'clock in the morning, and millions of people watching on these big widescreen TVs all over Tokyo.
In there for a call, strike three. Hideki Irabu delights the Tokyo audience with 2 strikeouts in the inning, and he gets his second 1-2-3 inning of the ball game. I'll see you with Michael Kay on the post game. Ken Singleton rejoins Jim Conn in a moment. Right now, Deb Kaufman is at the MSG Sports Desk.
Thank you, Al. The Chicago Bulls have not been tested in an Eastern Conference final since the Knicks in '93 until now. Reggie Miller hit a shot against the Bulls today that Knicks fans can appreciate. 96-94, the Pacers even the series. Reggie only took 11 shots in the game, but this last one was the biggest of the series. Reggie throws Jordan off him and sticks a three. The Pacers go up 96-94. What a great shot. Chicago did have one last chance. Michael's desperation three nearly goes in. It goes in and out, and the Pacers win a great game. Game 5 Wednesday in Chicago. The Sabres stole Game 1 on the road in their Eastern Conference Finals in Washington again tonight. The Sabres strike first. They lead the Caps 1-0. Dominik Hasek has not allowed a goal yet in this series. The Yankees and White Sox are through 5. We'll be back with more from the MSG Sports Desk right after this. Deep again today. He becomes the first player in Major League history to hit 25 home runs before June 1st. There are still 6 days left in the month of May. We go back to Comiskey Park now as the Yanks and Sox move to the 6th. I'm Deb Kaufman. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Deb. 8-0 Yankees. We head to the top of the 6th, and welcome back.
Well, a brief stay. Nothing happened. 1-2-3, 1-2-3 during the 5th. Quick pit stop, and I'm back. Chuck Knobloch's going to lead it off. He scored a couple of runs. Has walked twice tonight. Now facing the veteran left-hander Tony Castillo, and after being called out on strikes, Big Hurt not happy. Ball's inside, yeah.
When Frank Thomas came up, we mentioned earlier, he had a lot of pitchers, a lot of umpires influence. That's a smart thing for a hitter to do. But lately, the last couple of years, they've started to ring him up on that inside pitch, and the more he hollers, the more they ring him up.
Do you think it has anything to do with the fortunes of the White Sox themselves? Knobloch swings, hits one deep down the left field line, but this is going to curve foul into the seats and becomes a souvenir.
I think so. I think I mean, not that umpires lean that way, but it's just sort of the way things happen. When you're wearing that Yankee uniform right now, everything is going your way, and for the White Sox, nothing is going right. But for the most part, it's not Frank's hollering or lack of hitting. It's what those guys out in the middle of the mound do, and the White Sox just have had no pitching whatsoever.
Knobloch swings a solid line drive into left field for a base hit. His first hit of the night. He's now 1 for 2, but he's been on base 3 times. You know, and now that Frank is solely the designated hitter, you get to think about it a lot more. You get to think about your at-bats instead of going out and playing position first base in his case, where you have a tendency to forget about what you did at the plate. And as a hitter, I don't think that's such a good thing to think about it for so long. That's one reason why I didn't want to become a DH until I learned how to handle it, because you have too much time to think about your at-bats and what's going to happen the next time. Been happening pretty well for Derek Jeter lately. Scored a couple of runs tonight, 2 for 3 with a single and a triple, and a run batted in. Ball strike to the corner. Jeter's average, well, he started tonight at 335, and with the 2 for 3, he's now up to 340. The Yankees had 3 of the top 6 hitters in the league in batting average. Pitches a strike. Tino Martinez, Derek Jeter, and Scott Brosius. Jeter in a hole here. No balls and 2 strikes.
You mentioned that DH right here in this town in 1973, the first year of the DH, Darren Johnson. Across the street, he and I were teammates, and he said that very thing. The first year, hitters did not know what to do with that idle time. They'd go up in the clubhouse and practice in front of a mirror, but you had to burn a lot of energy. And normally you get a chance to do when you're in the field. Now, I think mentally, also, Kenny, it would probably help take your mind off of your last at bat if it wasn't a good one. You go out there in the field. It's an adjustment, of course, that Strawberry has had to make, and he's made it quite well.
I remember coming to Baltimore in '75, and the designated hitter was Tommy Davis, the veteran.
Good designated hitter.
Good designated hitter, and also had been a pretty good left fielder with the Dodgers earlier in his career. In fact, drove in over 150 runs one year with Los Angeles. Jeter swings, line drive, base hit, left field. The hits just keep on coming. Knobloch will hold at second. And 2 up this inning and 2 base hits back-to-back by Knobloch and Jeter.
Now, when a hitter is in a cold spell, sometimes they'll get a hanger and they'll pop it up. But when you're hot and you get a pitch like this right that you see a little above the belt and then it hangs right in the middle of the plate, and right now Derek Jeter is missing no mistakes. His 3rd hit of the game, he's showing off for the home folks. He's got his parents, Charles and Dorothy Jeter, and his young sister, Charlie, all in attendance, driving down from Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Paul O'Neill with a slow roller foul down the first base side. O'Neill 2 for 3 on the night with a couple of runs batted in.
Wasn't that the way it was for you for a hitter? I don't know how long slumps you ever got in, but when you were in a slump and you got a hanger, you'd pop it up.
Yeah.
When you're going well, you just don't miss it.
And plus the fact when you're in a slump, they continue to make good pitch after good pitch, and you're constantly behind on the count. But when you're hot, even when you fall behind on the count, they make a mistake and you get a base hit. 0-1 the count on O'Neill. That will even things up at 1-1. And I think one thing what this Yankee team has done, and with Knobloch at second and Jeter at first, they're hitting the ball so well these last few days in Boston, now here in Chicago, that you're constantly coming up with men on base, and that forces you to concentrate. Forces you to try and get something done, because everybody likes to see men on. You want to drive in runs. O'Neill has driven in 2 tonight. He drove in 1 yesterday in Boston.
Just sitting back and enjoying it.
Big swing and a miss. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Paul O'Neill.
You saw Paul, the pitch before, kind of make that little move where he moves his right shoulder and he's reminding himself, keep the shoulder in, keep the shoulder in. And this is why, because he didn't keep it in here. See, the front shoulder flies out, pulls off the ball. Paul's at his best when he goes the other way, which he does so well with 2 strikes.
Swings here, line drive, right center field, base hit. It's going to score another run. Knobloch comes in from second. The Yankees now lead 9-0. O'Neill with his 3rd run batted in on the night, and Knobloch scores for the 3rd time tonight.
High phone bill for the White Sox all year, and even on that pitch was not a particularly good pitch to hit. See, O'Brien moves inside. It's in on the trademark. Paul O'Neill doesn't get all of it, but he stayed in enough to get it over Durham's head, and he's got 3 knocks.
Well, that's what's going to the weight room will do for you. Strong enough to get the ball over the infielders. There's contact, not quite out here on the good part of the bat, but strong enough that is Paul O'Neill to get a base hit and an RBI. Here's Bernie Williams. Still nobody out for the Yankees here in the 6th inning. And they now have 12 hits on the board, an even dozen. Bernie has 2 of them. This ball is hit deep to left field. The wind is not going to stop this one. It is gone. A 3-run home run for Bernie Williams. And now it's 12-0 Yankees. Bernie Williams' 6th home run of the year, and now has 31 runs batted in on the season, has 4 RBIs tonight. I think the White Sox are getting their first look at what's been happening to the rest of the American League this year. Talking to David Cohn as Strawberries hits a little shot towards center, but it's dropped by Caruso. The shortstop drops the ball, and Strawberry will be safe. Well, when you do something like that, you wish there was a hole out there you could crawl into.
You can see Jerry Manuel staying very calm right now on the bench. I mean, he knows from having been an infielder that was strictly a lack of concentration. It's kind of a byproduct of what's happening to these White Sox. You get caught back on your heels, don't pay attention.
Pitches outside to Jorge Posada. Here's a look at the home run by Bernie Williams.
Charlie O'Brien wanted it inside, and boy, that is the most dangerous zone. Left-hand pitcher to right-hand hitter is a flat breaking ball down and in. That's what Bernie got. Just 2.5 weeks ago, everyone talking, when is he going to get his first one? And now 2.5 weeks later, he's got 6 of them.
Posada has 5 home runs on the year. Broken bat. Caruso will get this one. Darrell returns to first base. That is the first out. That looked like the pitch that he was trying to make to Bernie Williams. Got it in a little bit more to Posada. Chad Curtis 0 for 3. One of 2 Yankees without a hit in tonight's game. Curtis and Swain. Ball 1.
You know, if you're on the bench of a losing situation like this, and you've probably been there, I mean, sometimes you try to make light of the situation. You'll see nothing happening on the White Sox bench right now. No animation. It reason I bring that up is I came in here 22 years ago with the Phillies, and the Cubs had us down about 11-1, and we started kidding on the bench. Good game to win. We could come back and win this game. Well, it was a game that Mike Schmidt hit 4 home runs in one game from the 6th inning on, and won it 15-13 in, I think, 12 innings.
Roll to second, the force, the throw on the first, and the White Sox turn to double play. 4-6-3, started by Ray Durham, the second baseman. Bernie Williams with a big shot this inning, a 3-run home run. The Yankees score 4 times here at the top of the 6th. We'll be back in just a moment with the bottom of the 6th inning, 12-0 Yankees.
There's an island where the waters are still, where the only thing you have to do is lie on your back, watching the waves rush in and out all day long, and where you'll need to go to recover after you return from our trip. Enter the Heineken Seek a True Adventure Sweepstakes, and you can win a trip to Costa Rica, Thailand, Mexico, or South Africa. And while you're at it, you might want to book your recovery vacation.
Well, Mr. Peterson, it's like this. There's questionable viscosity penetration in the ring gear of the front train where it equalizes the drive wheel torque.
Let's face it, you're not always clear on a cellular phone. But now there's Sprint PCS, the only nationwide all-digital network, for a new level of clarity.
I think what it needs is a lube and an oil.
Sprint PCS.
It should be ready in a week.
The clear alternative to cellular.